Hello and welcome to Elets Innovation Talk. This is another episode in which we will be diving deep into our topic today. And for this discussion, we have Mr. Biju Davis, Senior Vice President of Engineering from Model N. So, thank you so much for joining us. We are so glad to have you on this platform to impart knowledge and information all around this discussion. So, can you please talk a little bit about yourself, your journey in the B2B space, and also your role with Modern, and also the amazing work that Modern is doing in this space?
Thank you. So first of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to talk to Elets and try to share my knowledge. I've been a technologist for close to 30 years now. Started a career in after my graduation in computer science and engineering. Started a career into software. I've been in different domains across the last 30 years, as varied as working in product development companies for electronic design automation. That was my first job that I had. Before that, I did a small stint with a nuclear power center as a trainee, trying to help in the automation of the labs and all those things, a completely different area. Then had this bug to check out in the consulting space. So worked for a company called Accenture for a few years, and then got into this wonderful domain of life sciences through a company called Dendrite, which was into CRM. So we used to build products for the life science industry, mainly for the medical reps, and also to take care of their sales, marketing, regulatory, and all of this. So the journey started from there, went on to now be finally with this company called IQVIA through acquisitions and mergers. So the last 15 years was in that space. In between, after that, I took a small break and tried to do something on my own. That was a startup, founded a company. Again, the space of healthcare, life sciences, focusing on the tier two markets in India, the Bharat economy, as we call. So this was pre-COVID. So tried my hand for a couple of years. And I can call myself as a failed entrepreneur. Tried something which was very unique and into a niche area of. It was mostly to do with telemedicine, but I think the idea was a little ahead of time because of post-COVID that became a norm. And after that, I came back to the corporate and joined this company called Modelin. And Modelin has been into the space of what we call as revenue management or plugging revenue leakages. Helping the life sciences industry mostly in helping them to plug potential over discounting or pricing, for example, the Medicaid programs in the US and all of those, the government pricing and all that. So that's where Modelin comes into the play. I've been mostly an engineering leader, trying to help build engineering teams with the technology organizations. I've run India centers before, and now here in Modelin, I'm taking care of the entire engineering team as a senior vice president. So that's a short journey so far.
Very short and very experiential journey, we can say. So thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. I'm sure we have ample audience that is, following these kind of paths in their own career journey within healthcare. So as healthcare is expanding to all different kinds of domains, and as the government also is now focusing more and more on various aspects such as data security, predictive health, etc. So we have ample opportunities coming up. Can you talk a little bit about the theme for our discussion today, which is how MedTech companies can embrace innovation to remain competitive? And also, can you highlight this to our audience that how, remaining competitive in this widely, big world right now is very much a priority, because every company has a certain kind of offerings, and there are definitely so many there in the pool that how can they position themselves be above other people. So whatever your thoughts are on.
Sure. So yeah, so MedTech is I mean, within the spectrum of life sciences, what we call as pharma companies, which started manufacturing, discovering drugs and manufacturing and selling. The MedTech is a relatively new space. I mean, relatively since it's a few decades old, but that the coining of the term has been relatively new, and the subsection of that particular industry has also been interesting. So in MedTech, I mean, everything that is a medical device falls into that category. I mean, sometimes we get to think that those huge X-ray equipments or diagnostic scanners or what we call as MedTech, but even to the point that even a small stent or a syringe and every device that is used is under that category. Now, it has always been challenging for the pharma industry, whether it is MedTech or the normal drug discovery process, where um, you spend a lot of time trying to innovate, discover, and bring to the market, and then you work on the patents, which is where you get a good pricing, and then the patent cliff comes in, where you have to now get into the generics competition because the patent is off and the generics come into the play. So the investment, return of investment for the meta companies, if they're huge, that's very a short window, and they have to recover very fast. In the past, we used to spend years together to go through the whole drug discovery process, or even in medical devices, trying to finalize and get a medical device ready for the market and for the people after all the trials and all that. In the last few years, technology has been accelerating that a lot. I'm sure that you've been listening into the advent of artificial intelligence and machine learning, where there is much more enhanced efficiency in trying to do the R&D. We are able to quickly analyze lots of data sets and find good patterns and insights of what human researchers would have taken many years or decades to do that. So that actually leads us to quicker clinical trials of the devices. The drug discovery process itself is very, very fast, and then we are able to come out and predict the new products very quickly into the market. Personalized medicine itself is a very interesting area, where now you are able to specifically point towards uh, uh, specific patients and understand their genetics, and then try to analyze what's best suited for them. The optimization of the trial process, the clinical trial process itself, is it's come out a lot. So the whole R&D space, the research in that into developing a new product has accelerated a lot. On top of that, there's always a big challenge on the pricing, right? Because you come out with a product and then you have to see what's optimal pricing. So uh, now with the technology, you're able to even understand dynamic pricing models that can be derived, where you can focus on specific regions, countries, the demographics of that. And using technology, you're able to predict which is the best way to beat the competition, for example, try to analyze seasonal pricings and all those kind of things. So machine learning itself is a huge jump into that space. Um, on top of it, I think adoption of all these technology has helped the companies, and there are very good specific examples, in companies like GE Healthcare, Medtronics, or Philips Healthcare, for example, where they have been able to revolutionize the whole way of building products and selling it to the and bring it to the market. So
So thank you so much for sharing. So definitely, as you pointed out all these different aspects, many things come into play when we are talking about this one particular thing. But in the starting, you also spoke about revenue leakages and how model N helps the healthcare organizations around this in healthcare sector as well. So as you are very much aware, India is a land of startups. And we won't shy away from saying that because we have such intelligent population, and you being an entrepreneur yourself very well would be able to relate to this, that we have so many ideas and so much knowledge, such brain power in this country that for every problem we are devising to come up with startups and companies and stuff. But most of them, I read some kind of study that showed that 87 or 90% of startups fall in within 1 year. So I believe somewhere or the other there has to be some revenue related problems that the startup must be facing. So is Model N catering towards a select specific organizations only, or do the services, span across wide areas of sectors? Can you please talk a little bit more about it? Also, if you can highlight some of the reasons when it comes to healthcare entrepreneurship, or when it comes to companies in the healthcare sector, what are the areas that need more focus from building side?
Okay. So Modern Modern has two major business verticals, I would say. One is what we call as life sciences, which is all the pharma companies. The top, let's say, the top 20 big pharma is our customers, and the next level of pharma companies. So we have close to, I would say, 50 to 100 plus different customer ranges that we have across all the geographies. And that's our biggest market in the space of revenue management software and solutions that we provide. The second area that we call it as high tech, which is into the space of semiconductor, for example, or storage devices. So companies like Seagate or Intel or similar companies. So when that is a space where what we call as high tech. So we have good business in high tech space also. Now, why we have these kind of similarities is because our software and solutions are catering to the whole value chain between the manufacturing entity to the distribution network. So the original equipment manufacturers, or OEMs as we call, from there to the whole channel distribution and the distribution network, we try to cater to that. And that is where we try to help them in their discounting practices, the rebates programs. Um, the dynamics could be slightly different in life sciences versus this in the high tech space. However, in life sciences, one of the biggest focus areas to see that it's a very regulated industry, right? So there's a lot of regulations and compliance that has to be compiled to, and Model N provides solutions towards that to make sure that there is compliance on the regulatory part. So that's where Model N is into. Now, coming to your second point about how do the startup industry and how do healthcare thrive, the biggest challenge in healthcare, whether it is global or in domestic space, is one, time to bring it to the market, and the second is also to make sure that it is compliant. Because, like I said in the beginning, it's a very regulated industry, right? You can't just manufacture anything and then put it across to the market. It has to go through its own stringent process of trials and then approvals, and then eventually come to the market. And we're dealing with humans, human beings. It's not about any other space, right? So it's like your food industry, for example. Like you have to be very careful about how and what you manufacture and bring to the market. So kind of overcoming and making sure that you're compliant, you're maintaining the required compliances, the risk averseness that has to be there, and then the research time that you have to spend in the whole discovery process in medical space, whether it is a device or a medical device, or if it is in the drug manufacturing, drug discovery. And then this is one area where if you see, the sales process is very unique, right? I mean, unlike if someone is selling something to a customer, the salesperson and the customer are in direct interaction, while in this space, it's an influencer. So it's there is no one who's selling directly. There's no one selling medicine directly to the end user. It's an influencer, which is your physician who has to prescribe a medicine, and that's when the whole drug sale process happens. Now, you have to the manufacturing company, the pharma companies have to influence the physician to show the value the medicine brings in. to convince the physician to actually prescribe it. Right? Otherwise, why would someone want to take a chance on this? So it's a very intricate business area that you see in this compared to a normal discovery process, bringing some product to the market and then selling it and bringing it to that. So those are the challenges that this industry always faces. And then comes your data privacy, patient health, the real world evidence of what happens, adverse reactions of the medicines or medical devices. So all of that are very unique in this industry.
Definitely. So there are so many things that are going on behind the scenes before the medicine gets to the table or to the patient. Many things that have to be taken care of, both by the state, by the central government, as well as the private organization itself. So yes, very rightly said. But coming on to this aspect of emerging technologies and leveraging technologies such as AI and ML, how has these helped in streamlining and smoothing out the processes that earlier could take a lot of time, but now are easy with the help of these? And going forward, how do you see this industry expanding or going faster?
Yeah. So it's a good question. So the emerging technologies or the new age technologies have helped. Specifically, I'll speak to the medtech industry, for example. So, like we started the discussion, artificial intelligence and machine learning, and these are helping to transform the medtech industry to provide predictive analysis, analytics that comes there, personalized medication, and advanced diagnostic tools. Some of these are those areas that these are helping them prepare. Now, what help and so it enhances the decision making, the process, automates the routine tasks that you normally come across. So a lot of human intervention that used to be spent for many years is now reduced to I would say few hours, and you get the outcomes very quickly. What it means is that you have to have all these industries adopt these technologies first of all, because see, unlike if you look at the technology adoption in across the different industries, uh, life sciences and pharma is one of those late adopters, I would say. Maybe in some spaces in the research they are there, but there's so much area that they can adopt, which is probably late. Banking, finance is one of those early adopters, right? They always have been on the leading edge of these technology space. But um, and it's not because they're not interested in, but it's also to do with the regulatory compliances and all those things come in. So they have to be careful about whatever technology comes in. Is it going to be the right technology that is going to take care of the compliance regulatory part? So AI and ML definitely is going to be a big one. Now, the whole change in the way that you see medical devices nowadays, you see wearables coming into the space. You have implant devices coming. These are all were possible because of advancement in technology in manufacturing as well as in the research space. Today, even your mobile phone gives you enough information about your health by in terms of your walking patterns, your when you have read about news about how an Apple Watch has predicted an impending heart attack to patients by looking at their pulse and the pulse rate and the heartbeat and all of those. So these are all help a lot. 3D printing, for example, and 3D printing and bioprinting, as we call nowadays, that's helping a lot in quickly bringing products, devices to the market. Even in terms of you're at a stage where you can actually start printing organs and tissues, and these are things that these are emerging technologies that we never used to have in the past. And robotics, for example, very precise intervention, minimal invasive surgeries that has coming into the place. So all of these are helping this. And like I said, personalized medication is another thing, right? I mean, you're talking about genomics where you can try to uh, understand the genetics of a patient and then decide what kind of medications can be prescribed. Unlike in the past, it is just that you have the same medication across the same ailments that is being done in the past. Doctors have now become more intelligent using all these technologies. So those are those I would say emerging technologies that's come into place, like robotics, automation, nanotechnology is another area that has come there. So all of these are coming into the real world. Today, you can have a surgery done remotely where the expert surgeon is sitting in a different country while you have augmented reality and robotics helping a local surgeon who might not be an expert on that space, but using the expertise from a remote location and conduct successful surgeries on that. We have been hearing about Internet of IoTs, but nowadays you are having what we call as Internet of Medical Things, right? So the previous IoT was Internet of Things, where you could have edge computing and all of those captured, and you have devices becoming more intelligent. But now all of this is coming in the medical field, right? So call it as IoMT, right? So all of these are I would say, the emerging technologies that's helping in the space.
Definitely, sir. And as rightly pointed out by you, there are so many vast technologies in different spaces that you mentioned that are helping, humanity to reach its highest potential in overall. Earlier, when people used to just live till 40, 45 years, now we're stretching those limits to easily up to 89, 90 years and a healthy life. So with all these technology and medicine integrating together, as you rightly said, all the different aspects have to work together. So that is why the government is also coming up with more integrated systems so that all the technology advancements are not happening in their own bubble, but are seamlessly integrating with each other. For example, the Ayushman card we are having, we have many systems-based models so that everything is seamlessly integrated with one another. But with the advent of technology, with the advent of generative AI, predictive analytics, etc., every good thing that happens, there are also, repercussions of the same. For example, the predictive and generative AI, you can easily have videos of doctors speaking out on such topics, whereas the person may not be there. It's all generative AI. We have been seeing these. And we do have the DPDP Act from the government that will come into place in its full glory later on in the year, eventually soon. But till then, what are the things that organizations have to be wary about when it talks, as healthcare talks about sensitive data breaches all the time? So, what are the different aspects, or like the gaps in technology integration, technology advancements that you see that the organizations must be prepared about?
Yeah. So what you said no is right, and it's not just in the space of medical industry or medical sciences. It's all over. I mean, you keep seeing about the so-called AI generated fake videos, AI generated audios overlapping with this, and you can easily convince a layman that this is real. So yeah, the government. See, every new technology has its own pitfalls, and which is what we are facing in today's world, right? I mean, you see it across the industry. I mean, you see it in elections, you see it in your day-to-day life, you see it in rumors getting spread. You have heard about that creating even situations like warlike situations because of these kind of things. So there is a limit to how much the government can control certain things, because it's all about free speech and freedom of access and information and all that. Internet is all over the place, and anyone in a remote village or a town can easily access all of these. WhatsApp messages can go around so fast that you don't even realize what is true and what is wrong. So in the space of medical sciences, I think it's a conscious effort and a responsibility that every industry has to have, whether it is in the space of manufacturing, or in the space of drug discovery, or in the space where companies like ours provide technologies and solutions, we have to be really responsible about how we are when using the data, and and trusting it, and using it to the right senses. Data privacy is one of the biggest space. We see about the new regulations coming across the world. Europe has its own set of regulations. US and India is also it's in the process of defining a huge data privacy and data protection law that's coming on that way. So we are hoping that there will be more stronger regulatory bodies which will be monitoring all of these, so that a common man does not get impacted due to all of these situations that can easily be going around. So I would go back to the same point of every industry and organization being more responsible about how they are using the data, how they are actually presenting the data back to the world, and also making sure that it is not misused a lot. Technology can help a lot in this space, but like you said, technology can also be an adverse reactive situation based on the way it is used if it falls into wrong hands. So it's a combination of different bodies coming together, government, private sector, public sector, all of them, and to see how we can protect that. So I think that's the only way we can get things going forward.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing. So we're coming down to the very last questions. As we were talking about AI and generative AI, etc. So how can AI and ML and all these predictive technologies help in a dynamic pricing models, and how can those help the healthcare sector, better? So if you have any thoughts around this.
Yeah, so pricing, it's always a very interesting thing, and I think we touched upon the pricing part a little bit in dynamic pricing, for example, right? It's all about predictive analytics that can come in there. How do you look at region wise? So, for example, you always have competition in the pricing. Now, how do you look at the timing of the pricing to specific regions, specific geographies? No, and for that you need a lot of data, right? So the AI and ML technologies of generative AI, all of it helps consuming large data and coming out with analytics and insights very fast. In the past, no, we used to depend on a lot of data being moved around, and then analysts sitting around and then trying to figure out which is right, which is wrong, and then how do you create those kind of landscapes for that. But now with the advent of technologies, that's much more faster. So dynamic pricing, no, you can decide using technologies based on what's the right time to price it, what's the right time to increase or change the price, and each geography. For example, there could be higher adoption in some geographies or in some specific areas, and for example, in some regions within the same country, for example, and you also have insights into to the point that you can actually figure out, you can map, you can have a heat map on which areas within a region has the need more for these kind of let's say medical devices, or if it's a medicine, based on the demographics and the situations there, right? It's very easy to actually heat map and say that where's a high level of diabetic population in our country, for example. And similarly, every ailments and all of those, it's already mapped because you have all the data that's available. Now, based on this, you can actually decide whether you need to price a particular device or a medicine higher in that area where the demand is high versus where the demand is low. You can have a moderate pricing and all that. So technology has always been at the leading edge on these kind of spaces. So again, like I said, it helps in enhancing the marketing strategies, for example, based on what you think, AI-driven strategies that are there. In India, for example, right? I mean, you can identify, like I said, a specific population that has specific healthcare needs based on the habits of that region. It could be eating habits, for example. It could be your the habits, the weather in that region. All of that is what never used to be considered in the past. It was always manually done. Today, technology is, you consume all this data and then you're able to generate good insights into that. And the other thing which also comes into the play is one is pricing, but then the whole revenue cycle management is very interesting, right? So one is you have pricing, you have done all the job, you're selling. Now, is the revenue properly coming back, right? I mean, no, is the contracts being adhered to, the discounts are happening properly, the rebates are being generated properly? Are you over discounting in some places versus no? Do you really need to over discount in some places? So all of that information now, you can actually generate it through use of these technologies, and all that you need is the data, and then you're able to get it in the quick minutes and generate it out.
Definitely, sir. Thank you so much. And yes, you also rightly mentioned that India is the diabetic capital of the world. We are very not proud of it, but yeah, I am sure with the age, as we would be progressing our technologies, we would also be tackling our non-communicable diseases, and would lose the title of diabetic capital of the world very soon. So yes, that is. So we come down to the end of this very insightful discussion. If there is any takeaway message that you would want to share with our audience, please share them.
Yeah. So it was a pleasure talking to you, and trying to share my thoughts and the experience. I mean, to the audience, like I said, it has always been around the technology and the evolution of technology and the emerging technology that is coming into the space. So I think the most important thing is how quickly you adopt the technology, which is going to help. And it's also about how responsibly you adopt the technology, because these are two different areas. One is adopting it, and then it can get into the space of misuse because of too much of technology coming into the space. AI, Gen AI, for example, the generative AI. I mean, it can give you the right answers, or it can give you hallucinations also, right? So you have to be very careful. And today, everyone, before you visit a doctor, you go on Google and figure out yourself what medication you want, and then you can actually end of the day challenge the doctor and say, you really don't need this medication. But then there is heights to which you can go. I mean, you have to also have reliance on a medical professional who has spent many years studying and practicing versus rely on just the data that is available worldwide in the chat. So technology is a dual-edged sword. It has its advantages, and it can also create its own set of havoc. So responsible use and adoption is the best way to go forward.
Definitely, sir. Thank you so much. So now we come down to the end of this very insightful discussion with our guest for today, Mr. Biju Davis, Senior Vice President of Engineering from Model N. So thank you so much for joining us. To our audience who is watching, if you have any questions for our speaker guest for today, please feel free to drop your thoughts in the comments below. We will make sure to amplify it to our guest and also to the right audience. If you have any suggestions for our next edition, next episode, any topic that you are interested in, please also feel free to share it with us. We will make sure to address that with the right spokesperson for that issue. So thank you so much for staying with us. With that, we sign off now. Stay happy, stay healthy.